Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, it's a pleasure to be here, back in India. My mother is from Mumbai originally, and I've traveled quite a bit, so it's nice to be back in India in a way after several times having traveled there. So today I'm going to talk to you about mastering communication, eliminating conflicts, anger, and stress, because it is our communication, the way we talk to people, the way we understand them, our emotional reactions, which are the foundation of our success. My life has always been devoted to a balance method where we succeed in our career and our relationships and our spiritual development, our self-esteem, how we feel about ourselves. So that's really the core of success. So I've owned companies in over 20 sectors, from retail stores to nuclear waste remediation, so nuclear energy, cancer cures, a variety of industries. And it's all based on my personality. That's how I actually was invited and succeeded in all of these fields of work. Relationships, everything. So my studies have been, after I retired when I was 28 actually, I became a monk. I traveled through many countries to study different mystical paths, and I've combined the balance between the spiritual teachings and the material world to give a balanced life where what matters most, which is our inner peace, our communication, our harmony with other people, right? So that's what we're going to talk about today. Basically, mastering communications and how not to get angry, frustrated, and in conflicts. Great. Now, here's the first principle. Insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. Right? Everything is in your mind. Everything about your entire universe, how you respond, how you react, how people react to you, really is how your mind works, because that's going to give you your emotional reactions through your interpretation of events. Then your reaction will determine the next events. So if your life is going in circles and you have the same problems, the same events, the same troubles, well, that's because you keep doing the same things and expecting a different result. Well, that's not going to happen, is it? So today I'm going to teach you a few things perhaps useful that can help you break the patterns of how you deal with life and deal with situations. So, first rule is, a donkey with a load of books is still a donkey. Too much information doesn't make you wise, doesn't make you better. It's just a lot more information, right? So, for example, a computer has a tremendous amount of information. Google certainly knows everything, but what good is it if there's not a human being to take that information and use it in a way that is beneficial? So that's the sort of things we're going to talk about today. Now, remember that this is the most important problem that stops people from learning, is that it is not what you don't know that gets you into trouble, but it's what you know for certain that is just not true. That's wrong. Because you're so fixed on what you know, you stop listening. So think about that and think of any situation in your life that you did or someone you were talking to did where you start to talk, oh yes, I understand you, and you don't. Turns out you don't, right? If you kept listening. So when we know something, we stop listening, and therefore we stop learning. We stop understanding. And as soon as you don't understand someone, then you have a conflict. How many times have you had a fight, perhaps with your spouse or your friend? They say something and you say, yes, yes, I understand you. And they go, no, you don't understand me, because I know what I'm talking about. And I can tell by your reaction, you don't understand me. Yes, I'm certain I understand you. And then you end up with a fight, right? It's because you thought you knew for certain what they meant. But you were wrong. So, first rule is, everything you think you know potentially could be wrong. And you have to be flexible enough to leave the door open for your possible misinterpretation. So there's humility. So that's the first rule. The most important negative characteristic to eliminate is thinking you are certain you know. Always leave a little bit of doubt. Do you know the story of the professor, Western professor, goes to see the Zen master in Japan? And the professor says, "Oh, master, I've heard you're a great Zen master. I want to learn about Zen." "Certainly, please come in. Sit down. Would you like tea?" "Yes, I'd like some tea, thank you." And while the master is preparing the tea, the professor is talking. "I've been to Harvard and Oxford and Yale. I've studied this. I have PhD in this and PhD and blah, 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 blah." And the master is pouring the tea while the professor is talking about everything he knows. And the cup fills. And he keeps pouring. And it's overflowing. And the professor goes, "What's wrong with you? What kind of master are you? You can't even see the cup is full?" And he said, "This is Zen. If your cup is so full, how can I put anything more inside?" So think about that, right? We have to empty what we have, but you don't empty it. You just leave the door open, so you might pour a little bit out to let a little bit new in, because you don't know everything, right? Just a funny story. It's a doctor's office, and everyone is sitting in the waiting room waiting their turn to see the doctor. And the nurse calls this old lady, very old lady, hunched over. She walks with her cane, hunched over. She goes in. 2 minutes later, she walks out straight like this. And a young woman is sitting there. She's saying, "Excuse me, madam, I don't mean to pry in your personal health, your personal life, but I have to ask you, this is a miracle. It's a miracle. You walk in hunched over, you come out straight. What did the doctor do?" She says, "Miracle schmiracle. He gave me a longer cane so I can hold myself upright." You see? Sometimes we think things much bigger than they are. Remember this as we go through the talk today. You think things are much bigger than they actually are. You thought you knew, but you were wrong. Now, here is a very important principle. You are not really you. You think you are you. You believe you are you. But the best example is, because everyone knows him, Donald Trump. Now, if little baby Donald, when he was 1 day old, born to the same parents in the same hospital in America, but at 1 day old, he was taken to Gujarat, adopted by Gujarati parents when he was just newborn, Donald would be an Indian now. I'm telling you, his head would be, his hands would go, he'd speak Hindi, he'd be a vegetarian. He'd be totally different, same body, but totally different, huh? So, as I said, my mother's from Mumbai, huh? So, you're not you. You are formed. You're born, what I call baby no name, and then you are formed into what you are. And now you are certain you know yourself. But in reality, is this really you, who you are? So, this is very important because everything you think about you, any limitation you feel you have, any character flaw or good trait, is only because of the circumstances in which you grew up, which formed you into who you are today, and that means you can be reformed. If we take glass and we smash it, we melt it, we can make a plate, we can make anything else. We can be reformed. So this is very important for you to remember with anything that you feel is a hindrance in your life. It's not permanent. It was just you were formed that way and you came to believe because you knew for certain this is how you are, and you know for certain this is the way things are, so you're stuck with it. But if your mind is open, anything is possible. You might not know the whole picture, and we add to that your information doesn't do anything unless you use it, and we add to that that you are only formed into who you are due to the circumstances of your birth and upbringing, which means you can be reformed into something else if your mind is open, the potential of what you can become is infinite. Amazing, isn't it? So, there is something to remember. There's a wonderful movie called PK, Indian movie. Maybe you've seen it, huh? PK? And in the scene where he brings the Hindu, the Sikh, the Muslim, the Christian, everybody, and shows that, you know, where is the label of what you are? Is it stamped on your bottom? No. So we can be anything depending on who we are, and yet we see and we think we understand based on what we see, but we could be very wrong. So open your mind to that possibility and don't think, yes, I do this, yes, I do this. No, maybe you don't. Because you could be wrong about how open-minded you think you are. Okay? So bear in mind that. Let me tell you a lovely story. This is a true story, although this is not my ex-girlfriend from when I was 20 years old, but she looked like this. She was a beautiful woman with a long hair. And one day she starts to get, in the afternoon, migraine, terrible migraines. And it's going on for a month. Every day she's getting these terrible migraines. And then she can't take it. She's going to doctor. Doctor examines, doesn't know what's wrong. Sends her to a specialist, brain specialist, because you have a headache, it's with your brain. So they do x-rays, MRIs, CAT scans, all these tests. They cannot find anything wrong with her. But every day, these terrible headaches. And then one day, it's a weekend, very tired, you know. So she says, I'm staying in bed all weekend. So she doesn't wake up. And no headache that day. I mean, she does wake up, excuse me. Just stays in bed, relaxed. No headache. Second day of the weekend, same thing. She just stays in bed, no headache. Wonderful. Monday comes, she has to go to work. She does her makeup, ties her hair in the lovely new hairstyle she's using recently in a tight bun, and that day she gets the headache. And she figured it out. Her hair, she would tie so tight that by the afternoon it cut off the blood flow and gave her a headache. So she didn't need a brain surgeon, she needed a hairdresser. So you see, we look based on the load of books that we've studied. The brain surgeon, the doctor says headache, pain, somewhere in the head. So they look only with a narrow mind, the narrow view from what they've studied, thinking they know, because they're experts, and yet they didn't look at the obvious. They didn't look at other possibilities. You see? Now, I'm setting you up all this preliminary information like pieces in a jigsaw to get you to the point where we'll show you very simply how to never have arguments and conflicts. By the way, I never get upset. I had 12 years with my wife. She passed away, unfortunately, 7 years ago. But 12 years together, every day laughing, passionate, loving, never one angry moment. Who can say 12 years together until she passed without one argument? Because, and this is what I'm teaching you, my experiences of how to understand people and how to have harmonious life together. And at work, it's the same thing, right? If you have fights, problem with your coworker, then, you know, that's going to be a problem at work too, as well as at home, okay? So we have to learn to look always for what possibilities, by being open-minded, and new ideas might come in your head. But tell you another little story, humans, why we don't do that. This is typical of humans. This fellow, he's outside in his front yard and he's looking for something. His neighbor comes home, he's coming home, he says, hey, Pete, what are you doing? I lost my keys. Oh, okay, I'll help you look. So the two of them are looking in the garden. It's only a small garden for an hour and nothing. Cannot find the keys. And finally, his friend, the neighbor, says, Pete, are you sure you lost it here? He says, no, I lost it inside the house. In the house? Then why are we looking in the garden? He said, well, the light is much better out here. So we look for what's easy to see without putting in the effort to look where we cannot see so well. Right? So that's something else to think of. Don't make things easy. Sometimes the answers are where it's a little more difficult to see the truth. But again, if your mind is always open, it becomes easier because intuition, feelings, instinct, whatever, compassion comes in. Good. Now, freedom is in realizing and accepting that there's nothing real about you, right? You're little baby Donald. You could grow up anywhere. Everything, you're born a sponge, a brand new fresh sponge. And we absorb everything. For those of you who have children or you've been with children, you realize you can tell a child anything and they'll believe you. They believe anything. The funniest thing, my great-grandmother, when she never learned to speak English, but when our family immigrated to Canada, she would be at home only speaking Hindustani, right? Only Hindi. And she'd watch TV, passing time, and she was born in 1884, I think, 1885, something like that, but in the 1800s. So she doesn't know from television and all of this. And she'd watch TV, and you know how you have these soap opera shows, people kill each other on the show? And she would tell us, they killed him, they shot him on TV, they shot him. She believed it was real because she didn't understand the concept of TV. You know, we are going back 120 years, right? Since she was born. So, we're born a sponge and we absorb information. We believe anything we see. Just like she saw that on the TV. Or the children, you tell them something. And then that distorts our personality. Do you think people who are thieves or are arrogant or are rude are born that way? No. It is the circumstances of their life. The difficulties growing up, the bad things that happen, whatever it is, you know, you get cheated, people steal, you become bitter, and so on. These things are events that were absorbed into the sponge that have formed personality. So, any person, you or anyone you know, who has a personality or character traits which are not very pleasant, we have to remember that it is the stinking water in the sponge that has gone moldy and smells bad. But it is not the sponge that stinks. And we can rinse out the sponge and get rid of the dirty water, the bad memories, and be fresh and clean again. Right now I'm telling you only the potentials, the possibilities. Soon I'm going to tell you how to do it. So that's most important. You have to know what's possible. You have to understand how you or anyone became how they are today. Because if you don't understand how we became what we are, you'll never be able to change what you are, right? So right now I'm still setting you up to understand that you are a sponge, you're born a sponge, you have absorbed experiences, those experiences have become moldy and they stink. Any of your bad characteristics. Some stink more than others, right? So, knowing that, and we can change anything about ourselves because it's only what we've absorbed and how we've absorbed it as a child, innocently believing anything we are told or what we see. My grandfather always told me, he said, believe nothing that you hear and only half of what you see. He's born in 1900 in Mumbai. So, you know, this is not new thoughts, right? Old knowledge. Right, so we have to remember that anything can change and we have to be careful what we listen to. I always say, do not believe a word I tell you. I tell all my students, always, new students coming in, don't believe a word I say, but please trust me enough to do the exercises I teach you, to test everything I said, and then prove it to yourself if it's true or not. Only when you prove something through your own personal experience, objectively with the door open, not thinking you know, only then should you believe it. Never, because someone says, trust me, trust me. If a businessman, I'll tell you something, in Canada we have a saying, you meet a new person, you're going to do business with them, and he tells you 3 times, trust me, I'm an honest man, you know he's a crook, and he's going to cheat you. So, never believe anything you hear, only what you have tested and proven to yourself to be true. And I'll give you exercises for you to test everything I'm saying, so you can prove it to yourself. Then you will be able to make changes in your life in a very fast and effective way, and permanent. All right? Now, fixed opinions. Do you know Medusa from the Greek mythology? She was like a god thing, and she had snakes in her hair. And the snakes in her hair, if you look at her in the eyes, you turn to stone. Fixed opinions are a Medusa. Any opinion you have is a fixed opinion. And that keeps your mind like a stone. And obviously stones don't do well in life while everything is changing, do they? So, fixed opinions are a deadly poison, and we must remove every fixed opinion by getting that door open. Okay? So now, opinions are also stereotypes, racism. They are a poison to your mind. Now, I bring this up especially because of where we are, Indians and so on. I lived in New Zealand. And in New Zealand, there's a lot of Indian immigrants. And New Zealanders can be very racist. And the Indians have a terrible time there. It's really a pity. And I would talk to some of them, and they said, I was happy, I was motivated in India, I felt great, and I moved to New Zealand, now I'm depressed, and this. So, people put me down, they don't give me a chance, and this, and they say I'm bad because I'm Indian. It's crazy. So I said, very simple. Is racism stupid? Absolutely. Therefore, a racist is stupid, of course. So why do you care what a stupid person thinks? So whenever someone is putting you down, or you are putting someone else down, based on fixed opinions, or racism, or judgment like that, you have to remember, maybe they are just stupid, so why should you care what they think? This is the first lesson about how not to be feeling insulted or hurt by what people say. Put things in context. How important and valuable are they, and therefore how valuable is their opinion? If it's a stupid attitude, and therefore, if they believe a stupid attitude, why should you care what they think? Why should it affect you? Okay? That's the principle. We'll go on to explain how to do that. All right? So we have to be very, very, very careful never to have fixed opinions ourselves. So you always have to watch yourself, your conversations, to see if you are having any fixed opinions about anything. Do you know sushi? Raw fish? Japanese food sushi? I used to think, oh my God, it's disgusting. It's raw fish, it's disgusting. Why? My mother thought raw fish is disgusting. And then, when you're young and you meet a girl you like or a boy you like, you'll do anything. So I met a girl I liked, and she wanted to go for dinner to sushi. She loved sushi. And I'm like, this is disgusting food, but I like the girl, so okay. So I went and I ate the sushi. And you know what? Now it's my favorite food. Because even when I was young, I learned, don't be fixed with my opinions. So even if I had an opinion about sushi, which I inherited through the dirty water that I got from my mother, because that was her opinion for never having tried it, I then said, okay, fixed opinion. I've absorbed that from someone else. I will push it aside and taste it through my own experience to find out what is true. So you think about that and imagine everything in your life. People, food, jobs, opportunities. Business-wise, When I was young, I started working my first business when I was 13 years old. So as a freelance photographer. And I knew I was going to do all kinds of businesses and so on. But I said to myself, one business I will never ever do is retail. I will never get into retail. I don't like retail. And you know what? As I was 20 years old, I think I was in property business. And I came across an opportunity to get into a retail store, which I thought, you know what, this can make a lot of money. And turns out I made millions of dollars on those retail stores that I opened. They were some of my biggest income. Fixed opinion that never retail would have cost me my fortune and my early retirement. So be careful. Everything you think you believe, always leave a room for maybe I'm wrong. Okay? So, your life is a gray area. What we mean by this is humans tell themselves lies and believe them. And they believe things that people of an authority figure will tell them. Now, what if I told you breast milk is bad for your baby? I'm a doctor, for example. I'm not, but what if I was the doctor and I said to you, breast milk is bad for your baby? Can you believe this? When I was a baby, that's what doctors were telling mothers in Canada and US. Breast milk is bad for your baby. You must buy the formula from the pharmacy to feed that to your baby, because breast milk is bad for your baby. And my mother, along with other mothers, believed it. So, in my later years, when I found this out, I said to her, are you crazy? 10,000 years or however long humans have been here, we've been living on breast milk. How is it all of a sudden bad? She says, well, the doctor said so. And the doctor must know. Thinking. So, we have to be very, very careful. What infinite capacity for self-deception we are using. How much do you believe things that are in reality lies? And things you believe about yourself. For example, if you're always late, but you believe you're always on time, you'll never change. And everybody will remember, oh, you're always late. And you'll insist, no, I'm never late, I'm always on time. That means you'll never correct your flaw, right? So, we have to remember that anything could be a lie I believe that I am even telling myself. So we have to be careful about that. All right, we can be very gullible, so we have to always think. Remember what I said before. Test everything yourself. Prove it to yourself before you believe it. And then you may have less information, less books on the donkey, but what you know will be correct. And that's more important, right? It's better to have a little bit of real gold than a whole lot of fake gold. True? So here's one exercise. Take a screenshot if you like, all right? Find the source of your opinion based on repeated personal experience, or is it just because someone said so? So, all of your opinions, everything you believe, question, why do I believe this? Did I experience it enough times, or even once, to prove it is true? How many times do you have to put your hand in the fire to know that it burns? Once is enough. But do you believe it because you put your hand in the fire, or only because someone told you so? Because they could be wrong. Is sushi really that bad? No, actually, it's quite delicious. Find out for yourself everything through your own personal experience. Okay? Always doubt. Now, another exercise here. This one, take a screenshot. We're going to explain now, following, what this means. When you have an argument, any sort of conflict, question yourself, do they really understand you? And do you really understand them? Now let's explain it. Now we're going to get into the value of this talk. Words have no innate value. I know there's a lot of talk. Words have power. Words have meaning. Words are strong. No, I'm saying total opposite. Words have no value or power whatsoever. Offensive, insulting, intimidating, rude, arrogant words are only how you interpret them. Si je parle français, je peux le dire que toutes les femmes sont des grands vaches. Je peux le dire que tous les hommes sont entièrement fous. Il n'y a pas de chance en vie que tu vas être un succès. So if you don't speak French, my words had no value to you, did they? But if I said all of you women are big fat cows, and all of you men are completely stupid, and you have no chance of success in life, well, oh my God, now that hurt. You see? The words themselves have no value. It is how you interpret them that gives them value. So we need to take responsibility right now, forever going forward, that every emotional reaction you have to some words spoken are because of how you interpreted them and gave them meaning based on your fixed opinion of when someone says that, this is what they mean. Right? Now, another little problem with humans is that we hold things, and that's how we get our opinions. We don't adapt to new situations. It's like the two monks long ago, they're walking and it's, just dirt paths. And the two monks are walking on the path, and ahead there's a big muddy patch, huge muddy patch across the whole path. And there's a beautiful woman, young girl, beautiful gown, lovely shoes, just standing there. And one monk figures out, she's trying to figure out, how do I cross the muddy patch without getting dirty? So as they approach, one of the monks, just without a word, picks her up, carries her across, puts her down on the other side. The girl goes this way, the monks go that way. Thank you very much. Over. Later that night, the two monks have settled down, had their meal, and the other one explodes. How could you do that? Where are your vows? We swore never to look at women. You touched her, you carried her. What happened to your vows? Why did you do that? Blah, blah, blah. And the other one says, listen, I put her down back on the path. Why are you still carrying her? So, words, things happen. We hold on to it, and that makes more stinky, muddy water because we're not rinsing the sponge every day to let go of the day's events from the words that we have the fixed opinion what that person really meant, and that stays with us, and the water gets moldy, stinky, and we become distrustful, bitter, angry, resentful, any negative quality, any damage to our personality, to our heart, our soul, comes through this process. So, words have no value on their own. Do you know, this I put it in a way differently, but it's from Buddha. Words are a knife they put on the table. You can leave it there. As Buddha said it, when someone was berating him and he stayed calm, one of his students afterwards said, Buddha, he was attacking you, insulting you, telling you terrible things. How did you stay so calm? Why didn't you argue back? And Buddha said, if someone gives you a gift and you do not accept it, who does it belong to? So I believe in our life today, the words that someone says cuts you deeply. So that's why I say words are like a knife on the table. The insulting words. Now, from Mr. Shakespeare, he said nothing is good or bad, but thinking makes it so. So this is not just my idea, right? Mr. Shakespeare, pretty smart guy, I guess. He's written some nice plays. But thinking makes it so. I'll tell you another real story. By the way, here, the screen, maybe turn the camera a little bit because it's twisted. It's not showing bottom of the line. It says, if I do not view a thing as evil, I take no hurt, and nothing compels me to view it that way. We lived, my late wife and I, we were living in New Zealand. That's where I met her, although she's Chinese from Malaysia. But we had moved to Malaysia. So we're living in a beautiful complex with several buildings, condominium towers, and a huge shared pool. And there was a fellow and his wife we would always be friendly with, meet them at the pool and so on. Anyhow, time goes by. This fellow, anything you say, he goes, nice, nice. Always, no matter what. I bought a new car, nice, nice. I'm taking a trip, nice, nice. I had this for dinner, nice, nice. Everything, he says, nice, nice. So anyhow, a few months goes by, I haven't seen them. And then we meet at the pool and he says, oh, how is Jenny? I said, she passed away. And he goes, nice, nice. Wow. What would you do? Your wife passes away and this man goes, nice, nice. You want to kill him, right? But no, I'm calm because I know. He doesn't mean it's nice. He just doesn't think. That's what he says about everything. So nothing compelled me to view his words as evil or bad. This is the power of a human being. We can choose how we view things. So nothing compelled me to view his words as evil. So I don't get insulted. I let him be with his fixed opinions or whatever he is, stupid, thoughtless. And I say he has the right to be that way. So I don't get hurt. Because every scar, every emotional scar, every time you get hurt, has a cumulative effect. More muddy water in the sponge. So we want to rinse that out. Okay, all right? Now here's another principle. Animals attack out of self-preservation. You are responsible for your pain. Nothing that happened to you actually happened to you. Things happen, and then we have to deal with it. But it wasn't personal. If you're rock climbing in the desert, and you put your hand in a hole, and you don't know there's a snake there, that's its home. The snake, imagine, right? You're a snake, and this thing comes in to invade your home. Whack! Attack. It didn't mean to attack you, and then you're cursing the snake for biting you. It's not his fault. He just responds. Humans are the same. We're just responding. So be careful what you take as a hurt. Remember, the words they speak, their actions, unless it's physical, I'm talking, of course, non-physical attacks, are a knife they put on the table. And it's up to how you interpret it. That will determine your emotional reaction. Okay? Humans are still just animals. We respond out of animal instinct for self-preservation. Normal. This is what we are. Now, to make my point, this was my BMW in New Zealand when I lived there. So it is a T intersection. So I have the right of way, and this fellow was at the stop sign. And it was a lot of traffic. Cars are going. But when I went, he decided he's not waiting anymore. And that's his front bumper. Took out the side of my car. Now, do you think this man was sitting at the stop sign saying, no, that's not David, that's not David, oh, there's David, boom. No. He didn't wait for me. You see how it is in life. This is always like this. We are not really that important, that special. Things happen. You happen to be the one at that moment that it happened to. So again, here we're talking about humility. And when we become more humble and realize all these other principles, and it just happened to me, it wasn't personal, the words are just a knife on the table, then you start to have a much more calm reaction. But humans love self-pity. So we grab that knife and stick it in our own heart. You did this to me. You are horrible to me. I am suffering because of you. We're always stabbing ourselves because we love self-pity. We love to complain and cry about things. So you can be a drama queen. It is your choice. It is your choice. Humans love drama. All right? So you can choose a better alternative. You can pick up the knife and stick it in your own heart. You can leave it on the table and pick up a flower. And how to do that is this, very simple. Are you in pain about anything? Have you ever been in pain about anything? Is there anyone who has no pain and suffering in their life? Of course not. Everyone is in pain. And think about times you have been in pain. You have been stressed. You have been frustrated. Have you ever yelled at somebody who was innocent, but you were in pain and you vented? Huh? It's true, right? You have done this. Everybody has done this. So anytime someone attacks you, think about this. Are they in pain? Yes. What is their pain? My door is open. I have no fixed opinion. I've got no idea. Because I don't know what happened this morning or yesterday. Is the husband cheating? Did he lose his job? Did the person find out they have a terrible disease? Did their parents get sick? Something. I have no idea what happened in their life, but I know everyone is in pain about something. And when I am in pain, therefore they must be the same. When we are in pain, we yell at whoever is there. As my car went by, he didn't do it to me. He pushed on the accelerator and I was there. So people in pain who have had a terrible day, who are stressed, are worried, are bursting with this pain. And if a trigger happens and you happen to be the one there at that time, they will vent at you. And when people would yell at me, I always remembered this, especially in retail. People have all kinds of problems. Sometimes they get very angry. I was in a production business, photo finishing stores. So I give the flower. I know you're in pain. I don't tell them, I think. I know you're in pain. I know you're stressed. So give it more. Give it more. I can take it. Because, and this is the reason I say be a cloud. Because I'm a cloud. And just like the airplane goes through the cloud, your words go right through me. You're on a journey. You're in pain. You're in suffering. Go on. Let it out. I can take it. Because I'm a cloud. You cannot hurt me with your words. A plane cannot hurt me by flying through me. So, you can choose to understand because you don't have fixed opinions. Your door is open to the possibilities and the reality that you know they are in pain, and when we are in pain, we vent at whoever innocently is in front of us. And you can leave that knife on the table. And you can let them vent more at you. So they'll feel better. So just remember, you are responsible for everything in your life. It's your reactions. Now, here's another exercise that you must do. Please screenshot this. And if you do this in days, your life will change. Observe yourself attacking from, memories of past events and going forward. Learn the truth about human nature by learning about yourself. Remember how I said, don't believe a word I tell you. Trust me enough to do the exercise and test it, prove it to yourself. Because if all you do is listen and believe, you're nothing more than a donkey with a load of books. So you must test everything. And that is how we change. So please, Screenshot this and start doing this going forward, as well as thinking of times in the past. But you must do it going forward, because now you'll do it with consciousness, with awareness, looking to prove, my God, it's true. I yelled at the poor chaiwala. Why did I yell at the chaiwala? He didn't do anything wrong. But I am stressed, too much work, too much problems, whatever it is. And then, you know what? Think about this, huh? The chaiwala on the street, you go get a chai and you yell at him for no reason, and you right away think, oh my God, why did I yell at him? Oh, that's right, because I'm worried about this work and my boss and I'm not thinking. And then you say to the chaiwala, excuse me, I'm really sorry. You didn't deserve that. I apologize. Now, you will feel a lot better, but imagine how the chaiwala will feel. Imagine how you've made that person feel important, valuable. Can you imagine that power you have over another person to change their life by you becoming more realistic about human nature? So we have a great way of changing our lives. Learn that you attack out of pain and frustration. Now, do you know how long it takes to build some buildings? Very long. Years, perhaps, right? But have you ever seen a demolition? This is real time. Years and years to build and seconds to destroy. That's what your wrong words do. That's what your anger does. And it doesn't matter whose point of view, which angle you're looking at it, yours or theirs, you cause devastation to years of building a relationship you can destroy in moments. So we have to learn what our nature is. So we're very careful to change in a way that we do not thoughtlessly destroy by saying things that are venting pain without then following up with explaining and an apology so that you make good of it, or interpreting their words to you. And being angry like the monk, holding on for how long? Because I know we all do that. Something happened and you remember for years what happened, right? And it's all because you picked up the knife, stuck it in your own heart, instead of just leaving it on the table by understanding that it's not really about you, but just circumstance. Okay? So, here, screenshot this one. Consider whenever you feel any negative emotion, consider that they don't mean to attack you personally. It's not about you. They're in pain, and you are misinterpreting it to think it is about you, when in fact it is just them venting their pain. Okay? You do this, and you're going to be amazed. People who've done, I've given you a shorter version of this workshop. This is usually a couple of hours. But people who do the workshop, the next day, they're reporting, wow, my life has changed. But normally within a week to 2 weeks, people say 50, 60% less anger and conflicts. Within a couple of months, they say 80%, 90% less conflicts in their life. It's really something. But don't believe me. Please don't believe me. But trust me enough to do these few simple exercises. And then you can send me a note and tell me how it goes. All right? So, here is another exercise to become more flexible. Screenshot this one, please. Make a new habit each month. Every month you make one habit and you break one habit. So things for me like where in the morning I used to have tea with milk and sugar. I stopped milk. Next month I stopped sugar. Next month I stopped tea. Any habit you have, every month you break one and you make a new one. And you don't stop after 1 month. These are permanent. These changes stay with you forever. So at the end of the year, you've got 12 new habits that you've made and 12 you have broken. What I do, one of the other things I do is when I brush my teeth, I stand on my tippy toes, I tap my other finger very quickly on the sink, and I count from 1 to 10 very slowly while I'm aware of the sensation of brushing my teeth. So 1, 2, 3, and so on. Okay? So you see, making new habits, very simple. What this does, it makes your mind flexible. Remember Medusa turning you to stone? But what are you? You're your mind, your personality. What is a human mind? A collection of habits. Fixed opinions and habits. So, you're already stone. It happens. By the time you're 20, 30, even 15 years old, and when you're 80, oh my God, we're already stone. This is it. So, by breaking and making habits, what we're doing is we're softening that stone. Because if the stone is habits that we're fixed with, and every month I make and break a new one, that's 2, I'm breaking up that stone. You know, when we make cement, it's out of crushed rocks. We make roads, you have a base of crushed rocks. You're engineers, you know how to make it, yeah? So where do you get these crushed rocks, these small rocks? From a big rock that you put it in a crusher, it grinds it up, and then you have gravel. Your mind is the same. Your opinions, your habits, you have formed through Medusa to become one big rock. This exercise grinds up that rock little by little. Because if you have one big rock, it's very hard to put it in a small box. But if you grind it up into small gravel, well, you can put it in the box easily, right? It becomes flexible, adaptive. So this exercise, this takes longer for you to see the differences. But you can ask people today who are close to you, friends, family, what you're like. And in 1 year from now, or even 6 months from now of really doing this exercise, you ask them again what you are like. And you may see some significant changes. So, there you go. It's time. I was supposed to finish at 3:30. I don't want to keep you longer than that. So I'll just wrap it up now and tell you I have a website. I do the workshops online as well as in person. I go anywhere in the world I'm invited. My life is devoted to helping people have a better life. So these are the 4 upcoming workshops. All online. You can screenshot that. There's my website, davidsamuelcloud.com. I love questions. I love people to ask me questions. You're welcome to join the workshops. You can go on the website, sign up, and so on. And all I want is to see you happier, because just in case reincarnation is true, I believe it, but if it is or it isn't, if it is, and I am reborn to you, I want you to be a better person. Just teasing you. But my life is really devoted to seeing happy people. I like seeing happy people. There's too much misery in the world, too much suffering, too much difficulties. Tomorrow, I'll be giving you a workshop on your career. So how to focus on your career, developing your career in a way that makes you more satisfied, happier, and again, some principles about achieving the things I did, mastering any career in any field, and what it takes to be really the top, the one who is in demand. So I thank you very much for listening to me. I hope you have learned something. I hope that you will gain a value, and I welcome any contact, any emails, any questions, anytime. Thank you.